What's going on, YouTube? This is Reaper and I am back with another video. Alright, I'm going to make this as short and as sweet as possible, okay everybody? Alright, remember how 5 days ago I said Xbox was not going to have Call of Duty on Game Pass this year? Well, what do you know? 5 days later, that's exactly what was announced. So, all you wonderful fanboys and all you wonderful casuals that are saying, "Oh, Xbox is basically gonna give us, freaking cheap Game Pass, yay." Well, I can guarantee you about $1 million that that's actually not gonna be that cheap once everything is completely developed and completely put out. And I go back to what I was saying earlier about how Asha Sharma was going to reconstruct Game Pass and it was going to affect 50 by 50% margin of the actual population. And I'm right, because what do you know? It takes a female actual leader to actually screw up what the male leader did for 15 freaking years, people. So the fact that she took off Call of Duty to make Game Pass cheaper isn't going to really make it any better. It's just going to basically tank the entire process of actual revenue for Game Pass going forward. So, if you want any blame on who screwed up the Game Pass revenue and who basically made Game Pass non-appealing to pretty much 95% of the player base, well, you're looking at her. That's kind of how that works. But, I'm not surprised. She is a female, and females absolutely have no logical business IQ whatsoever. So that is facts. And the fact that they chose a female over a male this time kind of proved my point that Game Pass was going to basically F itself. It was going to F itself through the actual female actual ethics and the actual female actual way of doing crap. Which is going to be kind of funny because now that you took Call of Duty off of Game Pass, you basically alienated, like I said, 50% of the people that do invest in Game Pass for Call of Duty primarily. So the fact that you took the Call of Duty title or titles, depending on how far they go with this choice, is kind of proving my point that all she's gonna do is totally F it up the freaking behind. So that is actually gonna be kind of funny. But gamers, don't blame Xbox for basically tanking in the next couple years, because it's gonna tank because it no longer has its pride and joy jewel that makes all its Game Pass money. There you go. And you don't have to blame Phil Spencer for that. You don't have to blame Satya Nadella for that. You just have to blame the female millennial that is running Xbox, people. So when the Game Pass $8 deduction might be a plus, but after all the tiers are actually developed and actually put in place, I guarantee you that price is going to be much higher for the premium experience. So the fun factor is that, yeah, Game Pass did get cheaper. I said it would, but I didn't say how. So I just basically said that, Call of Duty is probably going to be removed, and sure enough, it is. So if you still find, investment in Game Pass, good for you. But I certainly don't, because unless you give me another reason to invest, and then once you take the multiplayer online requirement off of payment, I might not even invest in Game Pass, period, because there are no other games besides Call of Duty that I want for free day one. And that is a fact, because Xbox is a drought of AAA content that basically, is all focused on, indie titles and, and basically beta titles and all that kind of fun jazz. It's not for the actual hardcore gamer. It's not for the actual hardcore, actual devoted, actual player. It's legitly devoted to the people that can afford whatever they can afford. So basically, it is for the casual market, and the casual market did get its price cut. But overall, I think the quality of what it will produce is going to be worse than what we did have. And that is a fact. But like I said, look no farther to blame than the millennial female. We all know millennial females don't have IQs whatsoever, so the fact that she thinks this is going to make Game Pass more profitable kind of shows how inexperienced she is in Xbox in general, because that is basically what was keeping Game Pass floating for 2 flat straight years. Now that that is no longer going to be the case and no longer going to be the reliable source, you're kind of screwed. And I don't really, I don't really say that I'm surprised. I don't really think that that is actually going to basically, be a humongous death sentence, but I think it will be a profit death sentence. Because once you take the Call of Duty game, the only game that the majority of the casuals actually want to endorse in, and you take that away and you have no other appealing titles whatsoever for people to invest in, you're screwed. So, overall, congratulations to the female leadership, everybody. The female leadership absolutely destroyed Xbox. What do you know? It wasn't a male who did it, but it was a female. Go figure. So over the next couple months, I gotta say I will have other videos like this, and I will be keeping track of what Asha Sharma keeps doing to screw or basically positively increase Xbox, fame and actual fortune. But I'm kind of skeptical now, because once you take the one thing that was making you money and you remove it, you're going to basically tank the entire process, no matter how cheap you make it, which is really basic business sense in a certain way. But good luck, Asha. I wish you luck, because Lord knows you're going to need it, and Lord knows that, without Phil Spencer and the boomer leadership, this entire industry is going to go downhill, and it's going to tank within 5 to 10 years. We will see, though. We'll see. Because if they produce another title that is just as pickable as Call of Duty, you might have a savior on your hands. Or you might not, because I highly doubt any type of those titles are coming in anytime soon. So we will see. We will see. But I will be kind of excited to see if they actually do produce an actual genre tier where they basically put in a whole bunch of genres under Game Pass, and whether you like shooters, whether you like RPGs, whether you like arcade games, so on and so forth. There'll probably be a tier for every type of actual section of gamer out there eventually, but it's not going to happen right away. But the first step was to reduce Game Pass to a more appealing price, but with that appealing price came a consequence, and that consequence is you're going to take all your future profit away. That is facts, and that is what is going to happen. But look no farther than the female leadership that we all know does not deserve the industry whatsoever. So have a great actual afternoon, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Later.